Hello and welcome back to the Lakshminarayana Global Music Festival 2021. We're really excited to be presenting this series of virtual concerts and interactions for you to enjoy from the comfort of your home. Today we're very excited to be presenting Ghazal virtuoso, the legend Pankaj Udhas himself with his ensemble of musicians.
It is indeed a pleasure to present this beautiful nazam on the occasion of Lakshminarayana Global Music Festival, which is celebrating its 30th year. My compliments and congratulations to this festival and especially Subramaniam Foundation, Dr L Subramaniam, for their relentless pursuit of good music. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to sing for this wonderful festival. It's a beautiful nazam written by Janab Zafar Gorakhpuri, along with my wonderful musician friends, Dinad Mulaukar on flute, Janab Nasir Qureshi on mandolin, Shri Ojas Adia on tabla, Shri Nirmal Pawar on percussions, and Shri Vishal Dhumal on keyboard, Ashish Chobe on the sound. Hope you like this wonderful piece of poetry and this wonderful expression. Thank you.
और आहिस्ता कीजिए बातें, धड़कने कोई सुन रहा होगा। और आहिस्ता कीजिए बातें, धड़कने कोई सुन रहा होगा। लफ्ज़ गिरने न पाए होठों से, वक्त के हाथ इनको चुन लेंगे। कान रखते हैं ये दरो दीवार, राज की सारी बात सुन लेंगे। और आहिस्ता कीजिए बातें। ऐसे बोलो के दिल का अफसाना, दिल सुने यार निगाह दोहराए। ऐसे बोलो के दिल का अफसाना, दिल सुने यार निगाह दोहराए। अपने चारों तरफ की ये दुनिया, सांस का शोर भी ना सुन पाए, ना सुन पाए। और आहिस्ता कीजिए बातें, धड़कने कोई सुन रहा होगा। और आहिस्ता कीजिए बातें। आज इतने करीब आ जाओ, दूरियों का कहीं निशान न रहे। आज इतने करीब आ जाओ, दूरियों का कहीं निशान न रहे। ऐसे एक दूसरे में गुम हो जाए, फासला कोई दरमिया ना रह जाए, ना रह जाए। और आहिस्ता कीजिए बातें, धड़कने कोई सुन रहा होगा। लफ्ज गिरने ना पाए होठों से, वक्त के हाथ इनको चुन लेंगे। कान रखते हैं ये दरो दीवार, राज की सारी बात सुन लेंगे। और आहिस्ता कीजिए बातें,
Thank you. Dhanyavad.
And now we're delighted to present a special interview of Ghazal legend Pankaj Udhas by Dr. L Subramaniam.
Welcome, Pankajji. Thank you very much for your beautiful performance, fantastic performance. When did you decide to become a musician, and who was your inspiration?
Namaskar. It's a very long story, but to tell you briefly, I had this wonderful atmosphere of music in the family. So I'm being the youngest child in the family. Obviously, my two elder brothers were already singing, and my father used to play Dilruba as a hobby. So I think that obviously had tremendous influence on me. That really sort of got me involved in music. I basically belong to the radio generation, because during my growing up years, the only source of listening to music was radio. And the radio used to play in our house all the time. And through radio, I kind of got attached to Lataji's voice, Lataji's style of singing, and all her songs. And so very influenced I was that I started singing her songs. And my first major, I would say, foray into singing was when I performed at a local Navratra festival when I was about 11 years old, and I sang "Hai Mere Watan Ke Logo," which is a famous Lataji song. So I think she influenced me tremendously in terms of learning, in terms of overall singing. Later years, I was exposed to Begum Akhtar's music, and I think Begum, her voice, her style of singing appealed to me so greatly that I developed a special liking for ghazals. And I think this is the reason as to why I sing ghazals. But at the same time, I can very well say that I have from my heart, I think I am a disciple of Lataji, because I think Lataji has taught me a lot through the radio. So, in other words, I would say Lataji is really a guru to me. No doubt later on in life, I learned classical from Master Navrang, who was my guru, who was my official guru. But I think music is something where you learn by listening, and I think I'm one of the biggest example of that phenomenon, that when you listen to good music, when you listen to a good singer, you learn a lot. So this is the story of my early years and my inspiration and my learning process.
Beautiful. Fantastic. So what you say is like listening is very, very important, which is very, very important for anybody to become a musician. Not practicing alone is not enough, but listening gives a different dimension to us, which you beautifully said. And also, I was very fascinated by the word you said, you belong to the radio generation, which many of the artists were in that generation were a lot influenced by radio, because there were no other alternative ways to listen to a lot of music. Now, the next thing I want to find out, when was your first major break?
I was very fortunate that I got my first break when I was just about 20, 21 years old, when I was in college. And the famous music director Usha Khanna ji invited me to sing a song for a film, which was being directed by one of the very, very critically acclaimed director called B.R. Ishara. B.R. Ishara Saab was a very famous director. So he was making a film and they wanted a new voice. So they wanted to try me out. And I got this opportunity to sing a beautiful nazam written by Naksh Lal Puri Saab. I sang that nazam. I was very nervous though, but I somehow managed and I sang that. And it was noticed. In fact, Amin Sayani, the famous broadcaster, Amin ji mentioned me on Radio Ceylon. In those days, Radio Ceylon was very popular. And then later on, some newspapers, magazines spoke about me. But unfortunately, I never got anything more than that one song which I got in 1971. And then actually the real struggle started. And I struggled for almost 9 years to really get a break. And it was a long time. In fact, I had almost given up. And it was at that time that I made a Ghazal album titled Ahat in 1980, because my heart was always with Ghazals. I was always pulled by the magic of Ghazals. So in 1980, I made my first album called Ahat. And Ahat was the beginning of my successful days, I can say. And Ahat was followed by an album called Mukarrar. Mukarrar was the album which established me as a ghazal singer. So I would say Mukarrar was my major break.
Wow, that created history. Wonderful. We have had the great pleasure of having you in the Lakshminarayana Global Music Festival in the previous years. Would you like to share any of your experiences or memories from the festival, please?
I consider myself to be very, very fortunate to have performed for the famous Lakshminarayana Global Music Fest. Uh, and I have performed a couple of times, but one particular concert which is etched in my memory is that the concert was held in Bangalore, and I had this great opportunity to sing along with the stalwarts of Indian Shastriya Sangeet, Indian classical music. The famous Gangubai Hangal. Gangubai Hangal ji, she was the doyen of classical vocal. She was the diva. She was the
the great name in the field of classical music, and she was so full of blessings. I could never believe myself that at the age of 93 she was so bubbly and she was still singing and singing so well. And the other great personality that I literally got a chance to rub shoulders with was Pandit Balamurali Krishnji. Balamurali was so very affectionate, and no doubt we kind of became friends. And then I subsequently met him many times. And in fact, I once did a Jugalbandi with him in Chennai, which was very, very memorable. And no doubt, Dr. Subramaniam. Dr. Subramaniam was the one who invited me. We all know that a great violin virtuoso, a great violin magician, I would say. He, in fact, also was with us. He accompanied us and he performed with us. So I think this particular concert I would always remember for the rest of my life.
Wow. This was also for us one of the most memorable milestone concerts for Lakshminarayana Global Music Festival. Because when me and Kavita decided to do a project called Visions of India, our idea was to present different styles of singing in India so that one, by listening, almost can visualize India. It was a very, very major project for us, a very a difficult project also in certain ways, because first of all, to get some of the greatest classical performers like Gangubai ji and Balamurali ji, also Pandit Purnadas ji from Bengal singing folk music, and of course yourself and all the other great artists to be part of it. And also we imagined and dreamt that we should all at the end stand next to each other, rubbing shoulders, and do a finale. So initially, a lot of people said it may not happen because different styles of music, they may not like to share the same stage or stand next to each other. But it was a dream come true for us, and it is one of the most memorable dreams I had at that time, which has come true, and thanks to all of you for making that happen. Next, I'd like to ask you, you must have done many, many, many memorable concerts. Is there any one memorable concert which you think is very, very special for you? You can share it with us.
It's very difficult to pinpoint one single concert out of my journey, because I've completed 40 years of ghazal singing, because my first album, as I said earlier, was in 1980. But in these 40 years, periodically, I've had concerts which have been very, very memorable. But to talk about a few, I can say that the one which would always remain on top of the list would be a concert at the Madison Square Garden in New York. You can very well imagine it's such a large venue. And this was in March of 1986. And I am so fortunate that that concert was completely sold out. And there were 6,000 people at the venue. And I was a solo performer with just 5 musicians. So you can imagine that God is so kind that I got this kind of a response from the audience. And I remember that at that stage, my famous song Chitti Aayi Hai was recorded for the film, and it was picturized on me. And the film was due for release in August of 1986. So I was told by the film producer, who was a legendary actor, Sri Rajendra Kumar ji. He had told me not to sing this song anywhere before the film was released. But I don't know, somehow I gathered some courage and I sang Chitti Aayi Hai at Madison Square Garden. And after I finished the song, there was a complete silence for about 10 seconds. And then I saw the whole audience, all 6,000 people getting up from their chair and clapping, unstoppably. They just went on clapping, and they insisted that I should sing it again, and I had to sing the song again. So I think that was a moment which was really, really very memorable. The unfortunate part is that in those days, visuals were not so much like there were no mobile phones, or uh, there were hardly any video cameras or anything. So I could never capture that on the video or on a film, but it's captured by my memory. It's very much in my memory, and it was something which I will remember forever.
Wow, what a beautiful incident. Fantastic. Do you have any hobby at all? Do you get time for any hobby?
To talk about hobby, I remember a couplet by Mirza Ghalib where Mirza Ghalib says that हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले, बहुत निकले मेरे अरमान लेकिन फिर भी कम निकले. It is so very apt, this particular couplet, that I have so many wishes. I wish that I can do this, I can do that, but it's so very difficult that ultimately it just does not happen. And that's the story that uh, I love. I have great love for sports. For example, I love cricket, I love tennis, I love golf, but I never get a chance to pursue it because of my work, because of my music. I love to watch movies. I love to travel for holidays, though I travel all the time. But I love to travel to go to new places for a holiday. But that's very difficult. So hobbies are plenty, but pursuing those hobbies is rather difficult.
Beautiful, beautiful. In this lockdown period, we are all kind of closed, locked down, but still, all of us, we are all doing different things. Would you like to share your present projects which you are working on? I'm sure it'll be a lot of projects you'll be working on now, and any future project we'll be thinking to do in the near future, which we will have the great pleasure and privilege of listening to.
I did an album with legendary poet Janab Gulzar Sahab. Uh, it was launched in late 80, I think 2018 December, so almost 2019, titled Nayab Lamhe, which was my dream project because I have practically worked with all the poets except for Gulzar Saab. So this was my opportunity to work with Gulzar Saab. So it was an amazing moment for me to have worked with this great writer, great poet. And since then, I have been meaning to do a lot of projects, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, all my projects are on a hold. But I have plans. I have a very active YouTube channel, my own YouTube channel, which is Pankaj Udhas YouTube, official YouTube channel. So the next thing which I want to do is that I want to do a lot of work and a lot of activity on my YouTube channel. I have already composed a lot of ghazals during this lockdown and pandemic period. So I want to record all of them, and I think I have collected so much of work that let's all pray that we get over with this pandemic so that I can start working, and maybe I have enough work to do for next 2 to 3 years because I've collected so much of work and so many ideas. So I wish, in fact, the entire musician fraternity, I wish them all the very best that we all come out of this situation and start working like the good old days.
That's great. I think all music lovers, Pankaji has his own YouTube channel. You can go there and hear the wealth of music. And thanks a lot, Pankaji, for a wonderful interview and the great performance this year for the 30th year, which is a very special beginning of the third decade of our festival, and also wonderful performances in the past. Namaste. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this special presentation of music and interviews at the virtual edition of the Lakshminarayana Global Music Festival. I hope you're enjoying our celebration of the 30th year of the festival, and we look forward to seeing you at our next presentation.
I'm very happy to say this particular episode is brought to you by Subramaniam Foundation in collaboration with Vishwakarma University in Pune.